Early last week, I got a message request with regards to plant maintenance, and I thought of making a video to answer that question. So the question went like this: they had a line that was planned for maintenance, but somehow along the line was not released for the maintenance. So they already had a PM02 that was created, and though no material was committed, but they'd already created a PM02 to carry out the maintenance. So now that the line was not released, he wants to be able to know how they can close up the work order, even when there was no material committed and no time confirmed because the work was not done. So I'm going to be making a video to answer that question with some other scenarios to help us to understand. So let's stay tuned.
So we can see here that they already had materials, a material that was committed to this work order. Okay, but because the line was not released, they were not able to carry out the maintenance. So we are going to see the steps to close this work order if the line was not released for maintenance. So the first thing we are going to do is to first technically complete this work order. Now, someone might ask that why are we technically completing this work order? We didn't do the job. There is no need to technically complete it, right? We could just go straight to other functions, complete, and then just type do not execute. But then one thing we have to know is that in SAP, the system status are in steps. So you can't skip one process and then just get to the other one. Before you close a work order, right? Before you close a work order, the work order has to be technically completed. So that is the standard SAP. So when that's the standard SAP step. So when you hear the word TECO, which is the technically completed, it indicates that the order will not be completed as planned. Okay, so it is closed in like a technical perspective, but it's not completed as planned. Right? So what it does when you tackle a work order is that you are freezing any activity that is relating to this particular maintenance order. So it could be material reservations, all right, purchase reservations. Once you technically complete an order, you're going to be freezing all of it, because if you watch here, we have materials that have already been reserved here. Okay, this component 11757, it has been reserved. Okay, and then of course we also have purchase requisitions, because from this scenario we have this particular material is an NLAG material, which is a non-stock item. Okay, so automatically we have the purchase requisition. So it is like it's an instance. So I'm assuming that we don't presently have this particular material, and so we want to create a work order to generate a purchase requisition that we would use to procure the material. So you can see that the work order has a purchase requisition, okay, and it also has material that's been committed to it. So it means that even if this job is not going to be done, okay, this material reservation and purchase requisitions, they have to be freezed. So we're going to freeze everything relating to this work order. With this work order, if there had been confirmations, if maybe the work was done and there was a confirmation, when you technically complete a work order, both the confirmation, the materials, the purchase requisitions, if there are purchase requisitions, are freezed on the system. So the first thing we are going to do before we technically complete a work order is to first reverse any purchase requisition if there is any purchase requisition available. So this here we have our material, and then we have a purchase requisition that was generated. Okay, so we are going to have to freeze this or should I say cancel this purchase requisition? So the first thing you have to do is to first delete the purchase requisition that is attached to the work order. So you have to cancel any open purchase requisition, and in this particular work order, we can see that there is already an automatic purchase requisition that is generated for this work order, because the material in question is an LAG material, which is a non-stock item that is not available. So we have a purchase requisition that has already been triggered for it. But then we would have to delete this purchase requisition. So to delete the purchase requisition, though I'm not going to be deleting any details on the system, but I'm going to show you how to delete the purchase requisition. So I will double click on my purchase requisition, and after double clicking on my purchase requisition, I'm going to navigate to here, because we are on display purchase requisition. Okay, so I would go here and I can click to the change purchase requisition. So normally the transaction code for changing the purchase requisition is the ME52N. But of course, you can navigate it through here, click here on purchase requisition, and you can either toggle between display and toggle between changing. So on display mode, you cannot make any changes. So I'm going to click here on change. So we're already on the change. So simply what you will do is to highlight this column here and click on this icon, your delete icon, to delete the purchase requisition. So the reason for deleting the purchase requisition is that you want to TECO. And like I said, when you are TECOing, it simply means that you have completed everything. So you have closed the work order from a technical perspective. Okay, so even if that there was no work that was done, technically you have closed the work order. So you're going to delete this purchase requisition, and after deleting it, you save the changes that you have made. Then you go back to your work order. And another thing again that you might want to do is to make sure that if there is any material that is being kept on reservation, you have to ensure that you delete it. So what I mean by reservation is some materials that you might add, and you've already added a material on your work order, but then you know that you're closing the work order, so there is obviously no need for that particular material. All right, so it's actually reserved for the maintenance. So you would have to delete that particular material off your component line. And after that, you save. So only after you have finished doing all of these steps can you then be able to close your work order. So you click on order, navigate through functions, navigate through complete, and you click on your do not execute. So it is only when you have already satisfied these methods can you be able to then click on the close work order. So the first step you're going to first do, like I said, is to make sure that you confirm that there is no purchase requisition that is currently open on that particular work order. If it is, you navigate to the purchase requisition, navigate to that purchase requisition, and then from your purchase requisition is here. You can double click on it to open the display page of the purchase requisition, and then navigate to change purchase requisition. And from there, you can delete your line. So sometimes you can find that this table is not popping up. So it's a matter of you either collapsing your item overview or expanding your item overview. So your item overview column is where you can find the material that the PR has been created for. So you can either collapse or then you can be able to expand. After you have deleted this line, like I said, highlight this, click on your delete button, and voila, your purchase requisition is deleted. So you navigate back to your work order. navigate back to your work order, and make sure, secondly, that there is no material or reservation. So if there is a material on reservation, you'd have to delete your material. So let's try deleting this material. We're currently on the display mode, so we might just need to change to the change mode. So I'm going to navigate and let's see. So you would have to make sure that there is no component that is on reservation. After you have deleted your purchase requisition, you would come here and then you delete the materials that you have placed for reservation. So when all of these have been done, then you can now be able to technically complete the work order. So you might ask, why are we not going to do a time confirmation for this work order? Because no work was done. So when you confirm a work order, when you do time confirmation for a work order, it simply means that that job was done. Okay, the job was done, and for so and so hours, for this number of hours, and that's why you are confirming your work order. But now the job was not done. Okay, so there might not be a need for you to confirm the work order. So you could just delete. You could just go ahead to delete your purchase requisitions or materials that have been committed to that particular work order. And after making those deletes, you can then go ahead to technically complete your work order. So how can you technically complete your work order? So to technically complete my work order, I would click here on order, and then I navigate to functions and I go to complete. So you have to make sure that the work order is released for you to technically complete your work order, okay? Because now this work order is not released, so I'm going to try to technically complete it, and I would see that this area is grayed, all right, because the work order is not released. So you'd have to make sure that the work order is released. So you'd first have to release your work order, and this is the point at which you release your work order. After releasing your work order, then you can navigate to your functions, to your complete, and then click on do not execute. So do not execute will then bring the system status to CLSD, which is closed. So the CLSD is a system status, which means closed. And normally, the SAP system status closed is done in two ways. So either it is closed manually, or it is closed automatically. So for automatic closure, you would see that before the system automatically closes a work order, it means that there is no open purchase requisitions and your final confirmations of the work has been done. You don't have any outstanding notifications that are attached to that work order. So it is only on that basis that the system will be able to automatically close the work order after some specified period of time. But then for the manual closure, which is what we are currently doing, so the process of navigating this and going to your functions and then navigating to complete and then clicking on do not execute is the manual closure. And the manual closure sometimes is done if some certain criterias are not met. Okay, so there are some certain criteria that are not met. Like for instance, now you can see that the line was not released for the job to be done. So the normal way is for the job to be done, but then the job was not done because the line was not released. So in that situation, you might just want to close the work order, but make sure that the work order is TECO'd first. You TECO the order first. Make sure that all open notifications or purchase requisitions attached are all closed before you can then set the system to CLSD. So you have to pay attention to checking these criteria first before putting your work order into closed. As much as the job was not done, you would not want to leave some particular important fields hanging, like your components, still having some material still reserved, still having open notifications on the work order, still having purchase requisitions or purchase orders that are still tied to the work order. So you have to make sure that these criteria are met before you set your system to CLSD. So this is the process of closing a work order that you no longer want on the system.